right now it's time to have a little bit of fun with Gordy here on the Stateline Sports Hour as we get ready for the opening week of the 3A and 4A basketball regionals. And Gordy, I was very fortunate. I got to see you twice this week.
Yeah, that's a good week, isn't it, Dave?
Yes, that is. So we're getting ready for tournament now, and as we enter it, the Guilford Regional, and I know you help Mike Winters over there at Boylan. How do you handle this regional when you know you got a team like Auburn in there?
Well, I think the first thing you do is, especially if you're Rockford Boylan, you worry about your first game first, and that's that Hononegah Guilford winner. We played Guilford last night. They're kind of struggling right now. They're playing hard. They just can't seem to find a way to score. But that Hononegah Boylan game could be a good game. You know, those teams split this year. Both teams winning on the road. And the winner of that game is going to have their hands full going into Auburn because Auburn is they're just playing so strong right now. Their ability to score, I think, is their greatest asset. They can get so many points from so many different places that it's going to be hard to stop them.
You know, you've got kind of the front court seat there at Boylan. You got the best seat in the house. I've kind of noticed the last few weeks they've finally been able to put the ball in the basket some. I know that was a big struggle for a lot of the year for Boylan was scoring. Is this a case where maybe Boylan's starting to play some of their better basketball of the year?
Yeah, I think so. We were 7-6 at the Christmas break, and I think right now our record is 18-8. I mean, we've had a really nice second half. We're getting so many good things from the high-low, post-to-post passes with Deemer and Paris. Avery Zucchi's playing well, and then outside, Zach Cooper, the sophomore backup quarterback, is one of the best shooters in the conference. He has really shot the ball well, and we gave Auburn a really good game the last time we played them. We played all the way tight until halftime. The darn Dixon kid hit a three going into at the buzzer that put him up 7 instead of being only up 4. And then in the third quarter, we couldn't score. And if you can't keep scoring against Auburn, you're just not going to be able to hang with them.
You know, you kind of talked about their ability to score. I mean, how tough is that to defend? Because all 5 guys they have can hit the three-pointer, and all 5 guys they have could also get by you and take it to the basket, you know, if you guard them up tight. How tough is that?
Well, it's very tough, and not only that, Matt, how about how they start their offense? As soon as you get a rebound, that's when they're looking to score because they're contesting your rebound, then they're contesting your outlet pass, then they're contesting how you bring the ball up the court. And then if you ever do get across the timeline, their half-court defense, they're looking to deflect the ball, get a steal, or get the rebound one and done and go. And it's hard to match up with them in transition because they're so quick. So they're easily the favorite of this regional. I looked at the bracket a little bit this morning and again last night, and they run into a pretty good Geneva team on the other side, who I think is going to come out of that Huntley regional thing. I mean, Jefferson is the 1 seed in the Huntley regional. Geneva's on the other side. Geneva's got some size. I think they could give Jefferson trouble, but anything could happen. I think the Auburn-Jefferson rematch down at DeKalb High School could be a wild environment, but the problem is Auburn has handled Jefferson. I mean, both games were tight for a while, but then Jefferson would win going away. So,
I mean Auburn.
Excuse me, yes, Auburn. Yeah, Auburn. I'm so used to seeing Jefferson pulling away.
You know what? One more Auburn question, and I'd like to ask you this from a coach's perspective, and this is something they've done well for, probably 4 or 5 years on end now, back when they had Fred, is how well they defend the post for not having any size. When they've had these good teams like this, they have an ability, despite nobody being taller maybe than 6'3", I don't know, to defend the post. How are they able to do that so well?
I think 2 things. I think the footwork that they use to defend the post, they're so quick that they can get around in front. And what they love to do is wait until that ball's in the air and then get around in front and get a deflection or a steal. But the other part of defending the post is there's so much pressure on your guards from Auburn defensively that you can't get the ball into the post even if he is open. So it's two things. It's so much pressure on the outside, and then inside their ability to move their feet is what helps them so much.
You know, we talk a lot about Nick 10 teams having to play each other. There'll be 6 teams at Guilford. And, you know, usually when I've been around in my old age, as, you know, where I'm at right now, if you're going to get a big upset, it could happen against a conference opponent who knows you so well. Is there any chance of that happening, that somebody says, well, we've been holding this back for Auburn for this time, or is it going to be a really tough task for anybody to knock them off, in your mind?
I think it's going to be a really tough task. I think Boylan stands a good chance because of the size and because we do have pretty good guard play. I think the great example of that statement would be on the girls' side, where the Boylan girls lost to Hononegah, and they saved the box and one defense until the tournament, and they won that regional with the box and one, and I thought that was a good case of what you're talking about, but I just think Auburn's too strong for any gimmick defenses. And there's so many players they have that can score. It's not just one person that you have to shut down.
We're talking with our friend Gordy Kasper. He's a longtime basketball aficionado, also helping out at Boylan this year. And we call this segment Fun with Gordy because Gordy makes me laugh a lot.
You know, another regional, at least you guys would be familiar with because you face some of those teams that 3A regional at Belvedere.
Yeah. Right.
You know, what do you think about a Lutheran-Belvedere matchup if that ends up happening? I think Belvedere's kind of quietly been playing some really good basketball lately, too.
Well, they're a team you just don't want to play.
Mm-hmm.
They play so hard, they defend real hard, and then they like to play fast, so there's opportunities for them to get easy buckets and keep scoring. You have to keep scoring in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
You go through those 5-minute lulls in a 8-minute quarter of not scoring, you're going to lose the game. And then how about Lutheran, who is a great team? They won the Boylan Thanksgiving tournament a long time ago now, but they didn't they get lit up last night by Dixon?
Yeah.
21 points. 21 points.
Right. And there's no shame in that because Dixon is a good team, strong with definitely a good player. And I think they won the conference first time since '66.
Yep.
I was 12 years old, Gordy, in '66, so that's a long time ago, buddy.
Well, I was -3, so you win that one. But you know, I think what Goosey's going to do is try and sell the whole thing of, okay, you know, forget all that. It's a brand new season, and we've done this before, and you know, this is what we're about as tournament. But not only does Belvedere playing well, but it's at Belvedere.
Mm-hmm.
Now, wasn't it at Belvedere a couple years ago, Matt? And Lutheran went in there and won?
Yeah, they went in there and they waxed them. That was the year Belvedere won the conference title. And
they had Byers and Jackson and all that.
Yep, I think they might have even, I could be wrong on this part, but they might have even been the top seed in that regional over Lutheran. And, Lutheran just showed up and just ran them right off the floor.
And, you know, Gordy, Freeport's in there, and Freeport has split with Belvedere. They got to play each other first, and Freeport's played pretty well, Giovanni Alford, and they do match up pretty well. You know, they got the same type of atmosphere when they play. So Belvedere has to beat Freeport to even get to that Lutheran game.
Well, and that's what we talked about with that Auburn, or the Guilford Regional, is, you know, Boylan or Hononegah, you can't count your chickens to get to Auburn until you win that Wednesday night game, and you move on from there. And I was surprised that East got Freeport last night. They beat them by 3.
They beat them twice this year, too. They beat them twice, Freeport.
That must just be a bad matchup for them because East has so much size inside, and their guard plays okay. But the Belvedere Freeport game will be a good one. And we'll just have to wait and see.
You know, it's something I've been kind of playing with, and I've been trying to write something for the website, and just with the new baby, it's been hard to find time. But I think this is a good question for you as well, because you'd be familiar with both teams. I think really when you're trying to compare Auburn to somebody, you got to look back at their team that went downstate a couple years ago. How did those two teams compare?
Well, I think that's a question we'll have to answer in about 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because the painting's not finished yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a little different team in terms of the way Fred just took care of everybody. I mean, he'd get his own, but then he would set everybody else. And Fred always brought those kids together and made sure everybody was on the same page. And those are things I'm interested to see if this year's Auburn team can do those two things. Keep things together, keep everyone together, and then make sure that they're all passing the ball and that they're hitting the open man and not forcing things to prove a point.
And then lastly on Auburn here, at least from me, is, you talk about matchups, and that's really what playoff basketball is about, is the matchup that you've got. What is the kind of matchup that Auburn could have problems with?
Well, I'd say it'd have to be a dominant inside game.
Mm-hmm.
It'd have to be a team that could handle pressure, limit their turnovers, so that you're not giving extra shots to Auburn, especially transition shots. And then you're looking at doing some things to where if you can handle the pressure, if you can score inside where they are, that is their weakness, is post defense. But then if you can get that 8-point lead in the fourth quarter and then have them nervous, scattered, fouling, and then doing things that they normally don't have to do, that'd be the recipe to beat them. But that's a tough recipe to come up with those ingredients.
Easier said than done.
Right.
The one game they lost down at the tournament was when they couldn't hit a three. I mean, they couldn't make a three go and everything. Can that happen? Could somebody, a Belvedere or Hononegah or whoever would end up there, could they slow them down enough to do that and cause them problems?
I don't think anybody locally's got that. But I know as they go through, they'll play this Geneva team, which has been tough all year. I mean, they really put it to Hononegah in the Thanksgiving tournament, and then they play Barrington or Lake Park in the super sectional, and Barrington's got a 6'9" kid and they might have a recipe of three things: good post player, limited turnovers, and then Barrington's a team that's not on high school lights and Saturday morning shows. They're not an exciting Simeon or Rock Island or Stevenson. So it might be a look-ahead game. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that might be something. But otherwise, Auburn's got a chance to go all the way, get downstate, and then face either Simeon or Rock Island in that afternoon game. 8:15 game. Yeah.
Forget this year for a minute. We've alluded to this a couple of times when you've been on here, and then we never have the time to talk about it. What made that Jefferson team, back probably about 10 years ago now, 10, 11 years ago?
Yes, 10, yeah.
Yeah, what made them just so tough, on that run that they made?
Well, we had all the ingredients.
Mm-hmm. We
had 6'10" Pat Nelson in the back, so if you got by our guards, he was going to block the shot. Then we had Robert Eppinger, who was he could score the jump shot, he could score in the post, he could handle the ball. He was just a ton on the boards. And then we had Josh Pickens and Brandon Fisher, who were the quickest guards in the conference and in the area. Fisher was really good with the pass. Pickens was really fast. Both of them shot the ball real well. And then our bench was we brought a 6'7", 6'8" kid, Matt Peterson, off the bench. So we were a good 7, 8 players deep. I think that, and then on top of everything, I think that team really played to Mike Winter's strength, and that was holding everything together. I mean, with talent comes personality, and we had lots of personalities on that team, and we were able to keep everything together and keep everybody playing for the same purpose. And what else helped us was our Christmas tournament. We played an opponent in Lincoln High School that beat us, and that was back when you could play your Elite Eight game at state.
Mm-hmm.
And we played Lincoln, and they do a 1-2-2 ball press kind of thing, a little different. And I think if we'd have saw that for the first time on that Friday night, we wouldn't have got fourth in the state. But because we already played them and had experience, we just